The health warning is that these are not the actual numbers, but they are a clue to the actual numbers, which will be out on the 13th. I'm Barkha Dutt. Welcome to our special programming on the Karnataka exit polls. We already have a spate of different numbers, and well, the bottom line, several polls are giving the edge to the Congress, but at the same time predicting a hung assembly. There are others who are forecasting a clearer result. Either way, the BJP, at least going by the exit polls, is not in the front seat. It is very clearly the Congress in the front seat. But if you remember what happened the last time, the Congress being ahead in the race is not enough. Because the Congress could not get numbers on its own the last time, you ended up actually in a situation where H.D. Kumaraswamy ended up becoming the chief minister, and then the rest, as they say, is history. On this special program, over the next 1.5 hours, 90 minutes, we'll be taking you through the different exit polls, what they're saying, what the poll of polls is, and what this might mean both for the politics of Karnataka as well as the politics of the state. Let's introduce our guests on the program today as those numbers come one by one. If we can have the names of the guests come up on our screen. Prashant GS, BJP spokesperson and leader, joins us. Namaskar, Prashant ji. Also joining us is Sushil ji. He's the founder of Rajniti. Rajniti is one of the exit polls that will be sharing its forecast on this broadcast. Good to see you, Sushil ji. Also joining us is our numbers man, Kartikeya Batra. He's a research scholar, psephologist, and political analyst. It's always good to have you back with us. Kartikeya, veteran journalist and editor Madhavan Narayanan is with us, and also joining us is a political analyst on the program, Syed Asad Abbas. Good to see all of you. Now, before further ado, I know that what everybody cares about is what's going to happen in the end. This is not the end. This is a health warning. This is an exit poll, exit poll, exit poll, exit poll, and numbers are coming in from the pollsters fast and furious. But Kartikeya, let me give it over to you for the big picture at this point. Our graphics will keep getting updated because the numbers are coming in a barrage. But let's go ahead. Kartikeya, it's over to you.
Thank you, Barkha. Barkha, I think anybody who's been following these elections and generally Karnataka would have told you that BJP's prospects of forming its own government this time were very low. The question was, the Congress would be the single largest party.
Sorry, Kartikeya, we can't hear you. All right, Kartikeya was there doing the numbers, but we kind of lost him there. So let me try and show you what's actually happening as he reconnects. So as I was saying, most of the polls are actually showing us a situation where it is the Congress in the lead, but is that actually enough? So let me take you through all of these one by one. The ABPC voter poll shows the Congress in the lead with 100 to 112 seats, but that may not be enough to form a government on your own. The News Nation poll is one of the only ones so far that shows the BJP in the lead, but I have to say this is an aberration. Most other polls are creating a very different picture. The Rajniti exit poll, we have Sushil ji with us, is predicting a hung assembly. We can have that breakup of numbers. Times Now ETG is showing Congress in the lead with 113 seats. The Z News Matri shows Congress in lead with 103 to 118 seats. And here's the question. We have, is it advantage Congress? We have the India Today Access poll, which is showing Congress leading with 122 to 140 seats. Kartikeya, I'm hoping your line is more stable now. It's over to you.
No, sorry about that, Barkha. No, what I was saying was that anybody who sort of was following these elections knew that the Congress would be the single largest party. The BJP's prospects of making its own government were very low. The question was by how much? And exit polls today have corroborated the idea that the Congress is the single largest party. And if you look at the exit polls from across different channels, except for one, News Nation, as you rightly mentioned, you will see that Congress is the single largest party. See Voter and Access My India, the two sort of more popular ones, are giving Congress, one is giving Congress very close to majority, 100 to 112. Access My India's numbers have just come in. They are giving Congress 122 to 140, where 113 is the magic figure. So, you know, this whole idea about Bajrang Bali, Prime Minister Modi, how much can he pull it? Because the BJP was facing a lot of local anti-incumbency. Local anti-incumbency at the level of the MLAs, at the level of the state government. And the Congress ran a good campaign, but there were all these sort of concerns. And in the last 7 days, or the slog overs, as they say, the Congress might have lost steam because of the controversies and the entry of the Prime Minister. But those things, even if they've had an impact, they don't seem to have a big enough impact as per most exit polls. Again, referring to your health warning, this is an exit poll, and some exit polls, like the Rajniti one that we're talking about, that Sushilji will talk about, are predicting a closer contest. But my own hunch has been that the Congress will emerge a single largest party, which is clearly what's happening. By how much is what the question was. And this is an election, Barkha, which was for the Congress to lose because everything was going for them. They have a strong local leadership. They have resources in Karnataka, one of the few states where they have resources. The BJP's government is not the most popular government around. And so if the Congress actually ends up being just the single largest party, not crossing the majority, they'll be disappointed, to be very honest. Another point to be noted here is the role of the JDS, right? And if you look at especially the Axis numbers, as per the Axis numbers, the JDS is losing primarily because the BJP is gaining in the old Mysore region, but not enough to get its own seats, but enough to damage the JDS and benefit the Congress in a triangular contest. That is a very interesting dimension. And the JDS's future after this election will be a very important idea to sort of look at going forward in future elections. But as of this moment, barring a few aberrations, channels are saying that the Congress is in the lead. Some will tell you.
Yeah, I've lost you there, but let me bring in Sushil ji. Whereas Kartike seems to believe that this is advantage Congress to the extent that it is going to be a Congress government. There is no actual chance for the BJP. But let's bring in Sushil on this graphic that we see on your screen. Rajniti, the pollsters are predicting a hung assembly. That's in line with what many others are suggesting. And in fact, Sushilji, if you look at these numbers, you two are not suggesting a clear advantage for the Congress, but most other polls are. Do go ahead with your thoughts.
Right. Thank you, Barkha. The idea was that we use technology and remove the manual bias as such because we are an app-based data collection. So the data that we had clearly showed that the southern part was showing some advantage to BJP, and obviously the coastal Karnataka was showing some advantage as well. It's wrong to say that we are giving advantage to BJP or not giving advantage to Congress, because if you look at the numbers, the worst case scenario for BJP is 90 and the best case scenario for Congress is 98. That gives them an edge. I've been through all the numbers twice with other posters as well. There's a lot of hype around JDS losing the vote share, which we agree, but losing a vote share at a state level doesn't really matter, because if you are winning the seats that you are strong on, your vote share will not matter much. So we feel that JDS is not losing its stronghold. It's losing the vote share in the places where it was not winning anyway. So which is giving some advantage to Congress and some places giving advantage to BJP.
Yeah.
In the end, it will come down to 26 seats that we identified as the close contest. And when I say close contest, it will go right to the wire, can be between 500 to 5,000 kind of votes. And eventually it will come down to who did the better booth management on the day.
Okay, let's start looking at some of the other numbers. Can we now look at some of the other exit polls, please? And as we bring those up, Kartikeya, you were just wanting to make your larger point.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, but I was saying that the regions to look at importantly, there were 6 regions in Karnataka broadly, right? We all knew that BJP will sweep coastal Karnataka. The polarization angle works beautifully for them in that area. We all knew that the Congress would do well in Old Mysore and Hyderabad, Karnataka. The challenge was how much can the Congress do in Bombay, Karnataka, Central Karnataka, and the Bengaluru region. And if the Congress has to win in these elections, they have to do well in these areas. So I can just quickly go through these numbers, Barkha, if you want me to, which is that if you look at, again, unanimously, more or less unanimously, you will find that the Congress is in the lead. Channels of all kinds are giving the Congress single largest party position, except for News Nation, which, as I said, is an aberration. The JDS, as Sir was just saying, Sushil Sir was just saying, seems to be holding between 20 to 30, but this is lower than the 37, 38 that they got last time. And a lot of those gains might be going to the Congress. But as I said, the Congress seems to have, if the Congress is doing well, it means the Congress is doing better in Bombay, Karnataka, in central Karnataka, and it's probably holding in sort of the Bangalore region. But it's also doing better in the old Mysore region. That is the Congress's path to victory in these particular polls. But what I was saying was, this is the Congress's election to lose. There is just so much that's going on for the Congress in this election, and if they lose, I think they'll be disappointed. But they'll be disappointed because it'll be because of things like, for example, booth management or bad campaigning or sort of poor strategy making in the last few days. But honestly, I think the Congress has done a better campaign than a lot of the other campaigns we've seen in the last few years. This has been a good spirited campaign, backed by good resources, backed by strong leadership. And again, I can keep on saying the same thing, but barring a couple of them like Rajniti, like News Nation, we don't see the BJP getting an edge over the Congress in this round of Karnataka Assembly elections. And just to say that, we still haven't put out the big daddy of them all for the Congress, which is the Axis numbers. 122 to 140 for the Congress, 62 to 80 for the BJP. That is huge, Barkha. I mean, 122 to 140 is huge. The JDS plummeting to 20 to 25, although as per the Axis poll, their vote share is dropping by just 2%. But again, that's sufficient for them to lose those seats. But this is, if the Axis numbers hold, this is a thumping victory for the Congress. And in fact, honestly, as an election observer, having followed C voters tracker, one was seeing that the tracker was consistently giving a 120 to 130, 120 to 125 sort of seats to the Congress before the elections. Consistently, C voter was giving them versus the BJP, which was in the 80s or the 90s. My sense was that getting into the final slog overs, given the unpopularity of the Karnataka state government under Basavaraj Bommai, all the infighting within the BJP, the corruption charges, my sense was that the Congress actually pull ahead. So when I saw some of these numbers like 100 or 105, I was actually thinking that if this has happened, it has happened because the BJP and Prime Minister Modi have been able to arrest that slide. So it is now the question whether that slide has been arrested, in which case you will have a more C voter-like situation, or whether that slide has further continued and the Congress has been able to capitalize on it, in which case you will have the Axis My India scenario, where the Congress breaches the 112 mark with adequate comfort, forming its own government.
Okay, let's get reactions in immediately. Basically, Kartikeya, in other words, in short, though Sushil's poll predicts a hung assembly, you see, going by the numbers you're saying, a thumping or a clear or a comfortable win for the Congress party.
But on average, one can't use the word thumping. On average, it seems the Congress will be the closest to victory on average. But going by Axis, it is a thumping majority. Going by C voter, it is the sort of majority that, as I said, it is the average majority, that you're just there but not there.
Okay, let's get quick comments. Madhavan, go ahead. And I will, of course, also welcome to the program Bhavya Narasimhamurthy of the Congress. I'm sure she's pleased to look at these numbers, but Madhavan, an overall perspective from you. Do go ahead.
Let me first begin by saying the usual health warning that exit polls are only exit polls, so that I don't get, jammed on this. But let me add that aside from all the others you've mentioned, I want to mention today's Chanakya and News 24. Because in exit polls, typically you need to go by both the antecedents as well as the precedents. Antecedents of how credible the agencies are and precedents of how successful they've been before. And I want to add today's Chanakya, which also is giving Congress a clear majority, 120 plus 11 seats or minus 11. So either way, you can keep it to 115, 16. So between Axis, C voter, and today's Chanakya, the most credible agencies are giving a clear-cut majority to the Congress. Having said that, let me add two, three other facts. One is, let me, in my usual lighter vein, say that even in vote share, 40% seems to be haunting the Congress, because apart from the accusations of being a 40% sarkar and Hanuman Chalisa, the number 40 is a jinxed number for Congress, the BJP, it seems. So that's one thing. The third factor, which I think has been touched upon by Kartikeya in passing, is that this was a Congress election for Congress to lose. But let me let's say the dog that did not bark in this is Modi's pet theme of the double engine sarkar. As we got closer to the polling date, Mr. Basavaraj Bommai became more or less a non-factor. The double engine factor hardly got mentioned, as if to say, look, he's such a liability, I'm not going to mention that. Everywhere in other states, Modi starts with the double engine theme and sticks on. In BJP, in Karnataka, it didn't work. So the silence was loud for us to hear that incumbency had failed, and that's why it was a election for Congress to win and the BJP to lose. And then let me hypothesize the fourth factor, which is that Congress might have been doing even better had it not been for some last uh, weeks or 10 days errors that seemed like an advantage for the BJP, especially the proposed ban on the Bajrang Dal, the sovereignty fiasco mentioning Sonia Gandhi as allegedly talking about Karnataka's sovereignty, and also the Kerala story release, which was which left the BJP playing its own card, old card of polarization, which seems to have done very well in its old Hindutva bastion of the coastal Udupi area. But the rest of the state follows what I call Dravida politics. I have written an article on this. See, Dravida model is mentioned in Tamil Nadu officially by Stalin, but the point of the Dravida model, which is based on education quotas, welfare politics, and caste calculations, work very strongly in Karnataka. They don't
Okay,
call it.
let's before we philosophize, let's take
Last but not
hang
least.
on. I need the numbers on screen. Hang on, Madhavan, just hang on.
Okay.
I need the numbers. Please bring the numbers up on screen. Madhavan, complete your point. Then I want the BJP and the Congress to come
Yeah,
in.
I think
Yeah.
last but not least, let me say there is something called the Modi triangle. Modi works very hard. He's not charismatic. His campaign machine works in such a way that he gets credit for whatever happens. But the further you go from what I call the Modi triangle, the less the impact is. The Modi
Okay.
triangle for me is Bhopal, Ahmedabad, Lucknow. If you draw a triangle in the Indian
Okay.
map, you
So
will call it.
you're saying Bomai was a non-factor, but in the end, the Modi factor didn't work as
Yeah,
well.
it might have reduced the impact of the Congress victory.
Okay, all right. Let me bring in Prashant ji of the BJP before I come to the Congress spokesperson. Prashant ji, are you disappointed looking at these numbers?
Not really. See, Barkha, these are exit polls, and history suggests that in the past, take Karnataka's exit polls in 2018, what happened, and what happened with Gujarat in 2022. So we are really not fretting over some agencies giving us some numbers, because on the ground we know our karyakartas have worked, and we know at the Peth Samiti level, at the booth levels, as to how the votes have been polled in favor of the BJP. So therefore, the sample size here matter, how many people have been taken into account, and the different caste equations, so on and so forth. But we strongly believe that most of these predictions would not hold the fort, because what happened in Gujarat in 2022, the maximum somebody gave us was 151. That was Aaj Tak and Access My India. They gave maximum of 151, but we came 156. But everybody else gave between 110 and 130, 104 also, 104 being the least. And probably Congress was given as high as 68 by India TV and Matrise, but they got a mere 17 seats. And Aam Aadmi Party ended up with 5 seats. So therefore, the recent example of Gujarat, when you have this exit polls not working at all, and I go back to Karnataka 2018, when there was anti-incumbency against Congress, and there's a wave against Congress. Even then, Congress was given more than 100 seats in majority of the exit polls, but that turned out to be a damn squid for all the exit polls. So therefore, we have 2 more days left now, and
So you're counting
what
on
we
the
are
exit
discussing
polls.
now, we are discussing some hypothetical numbers based
Okay.
on surveys undertaken, but the
Okay.
same surveys historically suggest that they have gone wrong big time, because they always underestimate the karyakarta. They go by probably a major section, or probably they capture some top level points, but they're failing to understand the ground, which is why BJP keeps winning election after election, and the exit polls can go on.
Let me
This is
bring in
happening.
Let me bring in Bhavya now. We have Prashant ji of the BJP saying these are hypothetical numbers. And indeed, of course, technically they are. These are not the actual results. Now, some of these polls, of course, are predicting a very clear sort of win for the Congress, but others are predicting a hung assembly. Is that bringing back nightmares of the last time when you were the single largest party, but you fell short?
It would be very wrong. It would be very wrong to discredit, exit polls totally. Maybe they will give a number which is nearer to reality, somewhere plus or minus 5. And if you see, almost most of these exit polls are giving at least a simple majority to Congress party. We all know there was a huge anti-incumbency wave, and rightly said by Mr. Madhavan, Mr. Bomai or his past 4 years administration was not even portrayed to be one of the parameters to the success of this BJP. They only wanted to use Mr. Modi and his face and his road shows to gain vote. And the 40% commission, all the scams, or not even one developmental project to their credit for the past 4 years. And Karnataka has this tradition of, for the past 38 years, if we see, it has never elected a sitting government. There is always the incumbent government always walks out and a new government is formed. And so far in the history of Karnataka, if you see, if there is any party which has come in full majority and completed 5 years of administration successfully, that is only Congress party. And exit polls are very close to the reality, is what we feel. Most of them have predicted up to 140 to at least 112. So we are very sure we are going to form the government and with full majority.
Karthika, jump right in. Yeah.
Barkha, on a lighter note, this is the pedestrian driver syndrome. At times when I am walking on a street and the red light is too short, or the red light is not adequately long enough for me to cross the street, I feel the red light is very short. When I'm driving on the same road, I want the red light to be even shorter. So right now, the Congress is saying don't discredit these exit polls, and the BJP is saying, oh, it is an exit poll.
Yeah.
Now, switch to some other election, things will change very dramatically. But also, just to talk the BJP's spokesperson, sir, if the Axis poll gave you 151 and you got 156, by that logic, the Congress should get 145 in Karnataka. Just saying, because the Axis has given Congress 122 to 140. Again, on a lighter note, but Barkha, I wanted to make 2-3 points on the Axis poll, if you just allow me. There are 6 regions in Karnataka. And again, the Congress's path to victory would have come if they had maximized their position in Hyderabad, Karnataka, and they had gained some in Bombay, Karnataka, and Central Karnataka. We knew which way coastal Karnataka was going. Now, the major difference between C voter and Axis, Barkha, is the Hyderabad, Karnataka region, where C voter is calling it really close, whereas Axis is giving the Congress a sweep. 32 out of roughly 40 seats are being given by Axis to the Congress in the Hyderabad Karnataka region, which is Mr. Kharge's region, which has more than 35% SC/ST population, and it's just the most fertile ground for the Congress. So that is, I think, a very key point to note going forward as to what the regional splits would be. That's all I wanted to say. That I think there are stories within this story as to where these numbers are coming from.
And we'll get to those later, hopefully, when we have the actual numbers. I think today is just, in a way, the fun. It's the fun before the final verdict. Not to take away anything from pollsters like Sushil ji, but let's bring in Syed Islam. I beg your pardon, Syed Abbas. Go ahead.
Barkha, firstly, let me make a very interesting point here. Many times when I've been in debates or discussions with my friends of BJP or the Congress, when exit polls are in their favor, they always love it. When it's not, they completely say it's no good. The fact of the matter, yes, health warning that exit polls are not exact polls, but we can say they come very close to it. Also, as a matter of fact, if you look at Karnataka largely, the BJP campaign has been a damn squib. They needed a Modi to really come in and salvage the situation. But let me tell you, it was too late for that. The fact of the matter, this has been in the last 30 years the most hard fought battle for Karnataka Congress. Today, the Congress really showed the hunger for victory. They showed that they really wanted to go out there, campaign on all the grassroots level, and take it forward. Yes, the campaigns have worked out very well for the Congress party, but we need to know, will Bajrang Dal banning will be an issue or not? I think the May 13th will decide for all of it. Also, as a matter of fact, the anti-incumbency will definitely play a larger role. The youth seem to be quite unhappy because there were no jobs created by Basuraj Bamai government. Not just that, many of promises which were made in the previous manifesto of 2018 were not coming through. We need to
Yeah.
understand here how good the government performed. Is there a marks card which was shown by Bamai government? There was not. The same reason why the BJP High Command did not overly out there project him as the CM face or candidate. That shows that they were not happy with this government. That's where the anti-incumbency set in.
Prashantji, okay, quickly, we need to take a round of last comments. Prashantji, go ahead. Prashantji. Can we unmute Prashantji?
About
Yeah.
who's the CM candidate, so on and so forth. We've always mentioned that in our party, once the election is over and when we come with majority, the Central Parliamentary Board of Election Committee will decide who the leader is. It is not a fight between, like how Congress is having an aspirant every single day, DK Shivkumar, Siddaramaiah, Mallikarjun Kharge, Parameshwar, MB Patil, so on and so forth. BJP doesn't have that issue because once the party...
Why didn't you have that in UP? Uttar Pradesh, you had Yogi all out.
No, Abbas, you had Yediyurappa ji led us in the previous polls. We are not disputing it. Now, when the generation
Why not this
change,
time, sir?
Abbas, let me complete. After having given seats
Go ahead,
to
go ahead.
17 new people, this is an infusion of new blood happening. So therefore, the party high command and the election committee will decide, parliamentary board will decide on the final outcome as who will become the chief minister. And on 13th, you will see the numbers, and probably on 14th or 15th, you'll be forming the
Are you
government.
still,
Then what
are
we
you
can have.
still, are you actually genuinely still hopeful, Prashantji?
Definitely. Hope
Okay.
sees the invisible, feels the intangible, and achieves the impossible. Therefore, we have no reason to say that we are not achieving on the ground because our history suggests that wherever exit polls are predicted BJP is not doing well, we in fact come out and done very well.
Okay, let
In
me
fact,
give
it's worked the other way also in Himachal. They gave us more seats, but we knew due to some issues we did not get to them. So therefore, on both accounts, Himachal, Gujarat and Karnataka, exit polls were completely wrong, and our Karyakartas made on the winning side, or when we lost also, they decided the polls.
You're still counting on that. Bhavya-ji, two things for the Congress. One, who will be chief minister? You didn't declare a chief ministerial candidate either. DK Shivakumar has made no sort of apologies for his ambition. In fact, even in an interview to me, he said, I need all your blessings. I want to be chief minister. If the Congress wins, who will be chief minister?
So the democracy in Congress is there can be many aspirants for chief ministers within Congress and within the state leadership. And in Karnataka, people look at state leadership and vote. That is exactly what BJP is lacking today. And they want the chief minister to be appointed only from the high command. But we have a process. Once the MLAs are elected, they will be voting for the chief minister, and whoever gets the maximum support and the high command, they will together decide who will be our chief minister candidate. And there is nothing wrong in being an aspirant, being multiple aspirants.
Prashantji is trying to say something. Prashantji, unmute please. Prashantji, yeah.
Yes, this is the factional thing I was talking about in Congress, saying that whichever leader is elected by the majority MLAs, this is the faction of Congress coming into play. Siddaramaiah as a faction.
There's no faction here.
DK Shivkumar as a faction.
Please do
We all
understand,
saw seat
when
sharing how it
MLAs have
happened.
to work, this is called democracy. If you say that the whole Karnataka will become factions just because they're voting BJP. Democracy doesn't work with factions. Karnataka doesn't have BJP faction and Congress faction. It depends on the leadership, whose leadership people accept, whose leadership the MLAs want to accept and work with as the chief minister.
This is what I'm saying, Bhavya.
That's called democracy, not faction.
No
If voting is called faction, then that's exactly how you are looking at India and Karnataka. That's exactly how you're looking at people.
I'm going to speak over both of you.
And trying to hate the other voters, people who vote against you.
We are not hating
That's called faction, but this is called democracy.
I'm going to come in. I'm going to come in and I'm just going to jump in there. Prashantji and Bhavyaji. Madhavan, we have to start actually closing this segment of exit polls. Do go ahead. Madhavan, yeah.
2 points. First of all, listening to Prashant was interesting. speaking philosophically on hope, I thought it was Swami Nityananda and not Prashant. Anyway, that aside, I feel that the further you go away from the what I call the Modi triangle of Lucknow, Bhopal, Ahmedabad, the BJP loses its three H's, which I call Hindu, Hindi, and high moral ground, and settles for the three C's: coalition, caste, and compromise, which is in the form of Revdis. But it has come too late because BJP cannot understand the South enough. It keeps selling its own product irrespective of what the market wants. And the further you go away from the Modi triangle, the more it is. You've seen it in Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, and now in the South. So my last, but my let me stick my neck out and say the chief minister will be DK Shivkumar. They cannot afford to antagonize the Vocaligas after this, especially after the old Mysore voting pattern. Let me stick my neck out. I mean, I'm going to. It doesn't matter if exit polls can go wrong, so can I. But this is my prediction. That's it.
That's a very contentious prediction in the end.
10
Asad?
seconds. Barkha yes, 10 seconds. Q. Barkha let me tell you, I will bet my television life on you and appearing on your debates. Let me tell you that if Congress come in full power, it will be a Sidra Maya who will be 50 to 60 MLAs of the Congress has sworn their allegiance to him. I can bet my life on this. He will be the next chief minister if the Congress party gets a full majority. And we are forgetting, Rocky Balboa said, it ain't over till it's over. What about the joker of Kumaraswamy? If it's a hung assembly, Kumaraswamy get to have a ball of a time like he always does. But the real question is, who will he go with, the BJP or the Congress? I leave it to you to
Okay,
decide that.
I think Sushil ji, do you want to add a last thought because your numbers are at variation with the general trend of the numbers, Sushil ji?
Yeah, so I think the trend has been that a lot of these numbers are coming from the fact that we ask questions regarding CM choice, for example, and I can see that Congress is showing 42% to Siddharamaiah and 36% to Bommai. But our view was that if somebody is saying 12% to Yedurappa, both Yedurappa and Bommai supporters are going to vote for BJP. So the collective numbers were far ahead of what Congress was showing. So those were the factors that, looking at those numbers.
Prashant ji, last word. Prashant ji, can we unmute Prashant ji? Yeah.
Yes. I'm really fascinated by these triangles and rectangles, which you probably last read about it in school days. But nevertheless, Akhand Bharat will happen, and also it will happen someday. Why? When you can talk about these triangles and rectangles and your C's and B's and F's, Akhand Bharat also will happen. And also now, right from abrogation of 370 to the triple talaq, BJP has stood its ground in all matters which matter to the people on the ground. So therefore,
Prashant,
I
it
can
is
say
23
without
election,
fear
not
of
24.
contradiction
Hold,
and
hold your
hesitation
horses.
that no, Abbas, why?
Hold your
Why is that?
horses. This is not 24. This is 23 Karnataka elections, sir. Let's talk
Abbas,
about those
be
issues
that as it
later.
may, be that as it may, I'm still saying the counting will happen on 13th. If at all, if all of you get proved right, it's a matter of one poll going wrong, but we are confident about our karyakartas on the ground. And the past elections and the voter percentages and the exit polls, which have always ensured that they get it wrong because they underestimate the karyakarta, they underestimate the Modi factor, which they have been successfully doing it and losing it for themselves. Maybe wait for 2 more days. We'll have it.
Okay, we'll close the program with a poll of polls. We'll have that up in 15 seconds. But Kartikeya, any guesses on the chief ministership? We had two very differing perspectives on these exit polls and the trajectory they're showing. Kartikeya?
We may be showing divergent views, but the unanimous or the majority choice in Karnataka is Siddharamaiah ji. If you look at the most popular CM face from 2018 until now, he beats them all. Sometimes he beats them put together. If you add DK Shivkumar to Basavaraj Bommai, Siddharamaiah ji's popularity beats them all because personally he's never been tainted. But you have to understand that, right? And I think that is.
But Kartikeya, when I was talking to DK Shivakumar, he very openly, almost brazenly said And by the way, the poll of polls screen, the graphic is on your screen. And before you look at that, he very brazenly said, well, last time Siddaramaiah was projected, he fell short of the numbers, i.e. you can't do this without me being DK
Correct.
Shivakumar.
So I think
right?
DK Shivakumar brings in the resources and the organization, but Siddaramaiah brings in the people's choice, the faith.
Okay.
Which is why, Barkha, I'm saying this is a very good combination. It's a headache for the Congress, but it's the sort of combination that you need in a party where one person handles the organization and the other person is a popular.
Okay. We have the poll of polls. This is a poll of
5 seconds, Barkha.
Okay, 5 seconds. This is a poll of 6 exit polls.
5 seconds.
You can glance at the numbers in the meantime. Bolo.
Definitely, Barkha. 5 seconds, I will answer you. Karthikeya is completely right. Keeping grassroots level on ground with respect to being a CLP leader, holding the whiplash. This man, Siddaramaiah, will be a CM with Congress majority. But in case BJP, just in case if BJP is able to form the government, mark this name. Ashwath Narayan will be the next chief minister. That will be the BJP trump card for coming through. Baba is going to be out as per BJP sources.
And can I just clarify, Barkha, what he's saying is Ashwath Narayan is a Vocaliga face. And this will invert the BJP's politics in Karnataka. If what the gentleman is saying is true, what he's hinting towards is a complete shift of strategy for the BJP from being a Lingayat heavy party in Karnataka to
before we go, Karthikeya, a quick overview of these. This is an aggregate of 6 exit polls, not a fine science, but it just gives you a flavor. It's a way of reconciling the differing findings of all the exit polls. What do these numbers say?
And as you said, Barkha, let me explain to the viewers what you mean by an imperfect science. When you average so many things, there are outliers that pull the average one way or the other. In this exit poll, the biggest outlier is Axis, which is pulling the Congress's numbers up and which is pulling the BJP down. If you were to remove Axis, you would find the Congress somewhere in between 95 to 105. And you will find the BJP breathing under the Congress's neck around 85 to 95. And then one would say, and then one would say that, oh my God, this is very close. But then the right thing to understand is, which exit poll do you give the more weight to? And that weight is dependent on their track record. And by track record, we are bound to think that C Voter and Access My India are the ones who we should go by because of their experience. If I were to just go by them, then the Congress's lower bound is 111 and the Congress's upper bound should be 126, which means the Congress is comfortable in that majority zone. And so I think this is a number of the 6 polls, but what I just gave you for the Congress, and you can then figure out the corresponding number for the BJP. But going by those 2 exit polls, you can see that the Congress is comfortably getting its own majority. And trust me, Barkha, can I just add one? I know I've interrupted you twice, but I'm sorry. Congress getting less than 120 will be a disappointing outcome for the Congress in Karnataka.
But I think the fair point to make is we have aggregated 6 polls. But if we were to aggregate the 2 polls, in particular the Axis poll, which has a track record of getting exit polls right or righter than the others, then you are seeing the Congress in a comfortable position to form the next government in Karnataka. That is the bottom line. We thank our panel. In 20 minutes from now, we'll be back. We'll be able to break these numbers down further and get you more details. Thank you to our panel for joining in, and to our audience, don't forget to tune in back in 20 minutes at the top of 9 o'clock when we'll have all the latest numbers with more details for you. But in short, the story is, basis the exit polls, it's advantage Congress in Karnataka. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you in 20 minutes. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.